everybody to another tournament cast right here, and today we're back with our very own tournament, the Newbie and the Beast, an event that I'm hosting myself, and we're watching the mid-tier bracket today. So in case you weren't familiar, the concept of the tournament, just very briefly, is that teams sign up as pairs of two. So you sign up with a friend, and then in your team you need to have one really good player, 2000 elo or more, and one lower elo player, and that lower elo can vary a lot. So for this bracket right here, the lower elo players are all between 13 and 1600-ish elo. That's the general idea. So we've got a pro or really good player teamed up with a mid-elo guy or girl. And for this one, we have the bracket right here. The first round has already been completed. BB and Salted had beaten EGV and Dexter, whereas the other quarterfinals, Comy and Nectarie, they had a bye right there because Whisper and Panacota weren't actually able to make their game, sadly. So we just moved on to the semifinals, and here Comy and Nectarie are going to be meeting the number 1 seed, Huni and Daniel. Now Daniel is the Daniel, the very well-known pro player Daniel, so definitely the highest elo player in this bracket, one that we're expecting a lot from. Huni, though, as a partner, no slouch either, somewhere in the 1300 range, so competent player for the mid-elo bracket as well. And Comy and Nectarie, definitely the underdogs in this one. Nectarie as the high elo player, somewhere around 1900 2k. Comy, in the mid elo section. Let's actually check real quick. Yeah, also hovering between 1350 and 1550, so pretty wide range there. So if I had to guess, Daniel should have a big advantage over Nectarie, but Comy might have an advantage over Huni. And thus this could be an interesting series, so let's jump right in. As always, these series are played as best of 3s, with the first game being a 2v2 on Nomad, and after that potentially 2 games of 1v1 between the Beast level players or the Newbie level players, depending on which matchup is chosen by the teams. Now, without any more beating around the bush, let's get into the first game, shall we? The first game, so the Nomad 2 versus 2 between these two teams. We got it right here. That's right. Okay, let's jump in. I hope I got all the settings correct after the Hera tournament cast, but it seems okay. Oops, game sound should also be there. And then, yeah, we'll try and enjoy the show. So the favorites here, Daniel and Huni, coming out with 2 town centers quite close to each other. And look at this. Nectarie is building their town center just north of Huni's. So this is going to be extremely interesting, whereas the teammate, Comy, all the way down here, all alone. This could be an extremely interesting, entertaining game, guys. I don't know about you, but we haven't had this type of game yet in this tournament. In the first series there between BB Salted and El Gordo, etc., we had both teams kind of really planting close to each other, and right now we've already got the pings coming out here. Daniel on the map realizing that, hey, there's an enemy right there north of you, Huni, better watch out. Well, we'll see. There's an interesting matchup. Nectarie, of course, is the beast of his team, whereas Huni, the newbie, on their side. Could be a rough matchup, but Daniel should, of course, be close by, so potentially this could be really ugly for Nectarie as well, being in a complete 1v2. Interesting, Daniel spots this as well because he's Vietnamese. Would you look at that, guys? And maybe that's a good chance to start talking about the Civ matchups, actually. I'll try to throw up the two civs of both the teams at the same time. So we've got Lithuanians and Vietnamese on one team, chosen by our favorites here, our #1 seeded team. Well, they're up here in the north. And why would you pick those civs on Nomad? Well, Vietnamese, as we already saw, they get to know exactly where the opponent starts, so you get vision of the enemy's town center as the Vietnamese. Actually, I think we can highlight that really quick as well. And look at that, you can see exactly where they are, and you can see what's going on there as well. Even if there's spores coming in, you will be notified. So that's quite a useful bonus to have. Also just a really strong civ in general right now, the eco bonus that the Vietnamese have. Good archer civ overall, and pair that with the Lithuanians as a strong cavalry civilization, you got a pretty good match. Also bonus food there that the Lithuanians start out with, that should help with the struggles that especially these lower level players might have in the early game. Although it has to be said, even the low level players in this tournament are just oops, I didn't actually put the overview up, my apologies guys. Even the lower level players in this tournament are still way better than me. So it's definitely not we've got some noobs beating up on each other. So they should still know what they're doing here. So pretty useful team comp here. Archer civ, a really good cavalry civ. Yeah, just if you've got any questions about these civs, make sure to grab a screenshot here. You can look at all the relevant info up on these overviews, I suppose, if necessary. Now that said, let's also, before the action gets real hot here, check out the other team's selections, and in that case it's the Italians, a very popular civ on this map too, and the Malians. That is something you don't always see. Certainly not a bad civ these days either, and Nectarie as the beast level player will certainly know why they're choosing their civs as they did. Malians known nowadays for the pretty impactful gold bonus, most importantly, but also some infantry bonuses as well as that the building wood discount that is extremely useful on Nomad. Again, anything that kind of saves you wood or food is pretty good on this map, and pretty good on all water maps in general, I would say. Maybe also just in comparison, let's turn on their team's vision as well. Nectarie's vision, and we see they have much less information on what the enemy town centers actually look like or where the enemies are. They haven't scouted yet either, which is standard of course. For the Italians down here, Comy, again this is really good. So if you have discounted fishing ships, which is amazing in the early game, and then just yeah, the Italians, a lot of things going for them. That cheaper up cost, so good as well if you want to get a head start on water. And well, hold that thought. It looks like game might already be getting interesting soon here, as I see continuously pings coming out and whatnot. I don't want to miss any action, of course. Interesting. It looks like that was just a boar lame or something from Comy over here. Everybody is still sitting on one dock only. Interestingly, as we have Daniel as the first one up to Fuel H. That is typically when you see that second dock come out. If indeed they wanted to play double dock, that is, you would traditionally make that on the way to Feudal Age. Huni also following the team captain up to the next age, and Nectarie not far after. Interesting especially that Comy is the last one to click up to Feudal Age, because of course for the Italians it is the cheapest cost to get up to the next age, but I'm sure they've got a good plan, and it doesn't seem too unlikely that Comy might just go for a fast castle here. And honestly, I wouldn't hate that idea, because you're all on your own. You need to do something, right? You need to make use of this good position. Either you just go into a full boom, or at least build into something strong that you can help your teammate with, because they're stuck in a pretty awkward situation here. Nectarie will be behind to Feudal Age as well. So let's see Well, they'll take this from here. Second dock coming out from Daniel. Huni might also drop one here, although that hasn't actually happened yet. And we have a second dock from comy993. The docks from everybody very well spread out. We have a dock in every corner of the map, so the water fight might also be interesting. We've got the team northwestern docks versus the team southeastern docks. And all the feudal ages are slowly but surely coming in. Let's see what the people will be building into. Immediate barracks here from Nectarie, realizing that, yeah, I might be in trouble. I might need some military here. Archer range coming up with Huni's staple already up and running. And interestingly, Daniel, no land military at all, is just going for water, it seems. And we have, you know, Huni remaining on that one dock, therefore going land military, whereas Daniel is doing double dock and skipping out on land. Comes out with the galleys. Being the first one to feudal age in this game allows you to go into galleys and maybe get a few hits in on the enemy's fishing economy already before they even have any warships out. Nectarie here won't be able to invest a lot into warships, actually doesn't make any. Is more so concerned right now with defending on land and going into archers for that. Fletching already on the way. That is pretty nicely timed fletching, and we'll be going up to castle age really soon, so that's the idea for Nectarie, it seems. Get some. Ooh, is that gonna be some dead? Oh, double kill! Wow, what a high value militia! Look at that from Huni. Gets the militia underneath there, and 2 sheep end up getting shot by the militia. Honestly, you have to wonder if it wouldn't have been more efficient for Nectarie to just beat the militia down with the villagers, run away with the sheep or something. Man, that sucks, losing 2 sheep like that, but it's always awkward. I hate that type of laming myself as well. And God, that certainly will sting. But we see here fire ships pretty potent in the early water fights. 2v2, the allies don't really want to fight that. Daniel will have to go on the run for some time. Also not that far from being able to click up, but both Nectarie and comy are close to clicking up here, I believe. Scout's not going to be able to pressure a lot, so far so good for the team Romania here. I wonder how long this situation can remain stable. It's already pressure here from Huni. Comes out with the scouts and the tower forward pretty aggressively here. That shouldn't deter Nectarie from being able to click up. There they go. Right alongside Daniel, actually, somehow. And Nectarie had been hovering around that 800 food mark, or just 100 below, for the last minute or so, whereas Daniel quite efficiently just shot straight up there in terms of resources and was able to click up even faster than them. So let's see what Daniel will go into then. He's the Vietnamese, he's typically gonna go into archers. Yeah, we're gonna see a castle drop from anybody. It seems it might be the Lithuanians angling towards that. 6 on stone, as they're also going to try to click up, but they're not anywhere near being able to go up yet, so might be a bit of a rougher transition here for Huni. Who knows? There's a lot of skirmishing going on here on the water, my goodness. A lot invested into these ships. And somehow comy is still not clicked up. I wonder what comy is doing. Really, it doesn't have the building, I assume, but he's had enough of these resources for a long time right here. And as we see, what are you gonna do if you have 1,000,000 stone and you can't drop a castle because you're trapped in feudal age? Well, you're just gonna spam towers. But this is quite expensive. Nectarie has done a decent job punishing this tower. Kills 2 villagers on the way, I believe. And so at least gets something back. But Daniel, the first one up to castle age, he's really strong right now. He's going to put a second TC here in the neutral. No way this is going to be stopped. He's still not clicked up here. Man, I really wonder if that's recoverable, losing that much time here. In a spot where I just don't think comy is achieving a whole lot by sticking around for this long in Feudal Age. I don't think he got a whole lot out of this whole thing on water, because Daniel is on 13 fishing ships and he's gotten the upgrades right now. He's going to clean up this entire navy. Oh, there's a big win in the early game for Huni and Daniel. Second TC is also on the way up for Nectarie, but man, this is not what you like to see for Team Romania on water. Definitely comy so far behind the castle age, at least faster than Huni, but Huni's having impact by dropping towers and having some scouts out at least. Definitely the two beast players looking very strong right here. Crossbows against the knights, and that's really awkward to play actually, because, well, if you don't have ballistics, which it is early on in the game, Nectarie obviously doesn't have, it's extremely hard to hit shots onto these knights. And if you compare the eco numbers at the very top, the villager numbers are pretty much the same, not far ahead there for Daniel and Huni, but the fishing ships are a bit crazy there. We've got 13 and 5 against 8 and 3. The Night Raids are going to find some victims as well. Triple TC for Daniel with the lead on the water and some knights out on the map. He's absolutely running this game right now. What can Nectarie do to combat this? Puts up the monastery. Huni still far. Oh no, never mind. He's just clicked up. I was gonna say the resources are looking horrible, but no. Luckily, Huni's also already clicked up, so he's not gonna be all that far behind between comy. Okay, well, let's see. I mean, definitely the favorites are in a really good position here. No denying that. But at least comy has got a decent timing up to castle age compared to their opponent. 11 on gold, 8 on stone. He's got a 900 stone ready here, comy has. Drops the castle right at the top of his own base. I don't know. Well, this castle is not going to achieve a whole lot in the short term, right? It doesn't relieve any pressure from Nectarie or even push into the enemy's land, so I'm not sure I'm the hugest fan of it, but then again, you have to wonder what options does comy have right now, as some knights make their way down to him as well. 30C attempted by Nectarie in a very interesting spot. I wonder why they're not dropping it right here behind the woodline. This is a really tricky spot to go into, and this is not going to go up, I don't think. Look at all the siege that's coming out. Wow, that siege Nectarie is going to struggle against with just one mango and a couple of crossbows. This could be extremely difficult to handle. As the siege comes in, the TC will have to be abandoned, and all the villagers are going to have to go on the run. How many are going to be killed? It looks like he's able to get out with most of them alive. Scouts dive in here as Huni on the way to castle age. Is he going to be able to snipe the mangonel? I'm not sure. Escapes out of there with the scouts and the mangonel repaired up just in time. Nectarie definitely on top of their game here. Doing a good job holding on to what they've got. But ooh, look down here, comy's again getting raided by these knights that are being so annoying. Daniel's having maximum impact with minimal investment into military right now. And there's the castle now finally for Huni to solidify this front line, and that's all they need to do here. He realizes that castle maybe was a bit too far forward, and now lacking the stone to put up another castle, so that is inconvenient. Ouch. Mangonel shots being traded between our two beast players. Amazing shot. The anticipation there by Daniel on point. Takes out Nectarie's one. And ouch, that's an amazing shot to the face of these crossbows as well. A couple of monks are there luckily to heal up the surviving ones. But what can comy do to impact the situation? Score-wise, it's a really interesting one when Daniel is so far ahead, but Huni isn't really in an amazing position in this game right now. Who's right opposite to the enemy's beast player. It's not an easy spot to be in. These crossbows pushing forward with two mangonels. Daniel in the meantime though building up, getting extremely strong. Look at that, 70 villagers already for him. And 3 mangonels as well. Takes out one of the mangoes there from the Malians. And they're gonna have to back off here. No push is going to be happening anytime soon. Castle a bit more back here. Huni is gonna have to settle for that. Another Mangonaut trade might come in. Good movement this time around from Nectarie. Shot doesn't quite land, and Daniel, he's strong, he's scary. You can't just engage him like that. Oh man, 10 Genoese crossbows out for comy. He's trying to get some harassment in out with that. We'll see if that will succeed. Water, he's at least being annoying, and that's a 4th TC attempted from Daniel, who's also getting pushed off of water in the north. It seems, although never mind, that was an amazing demo right there. Doing a lot of damage, but he's now pressuring forward on land, having shifted the focus off of the water. And, wow, that was almost a one-shot on that Mangonel. Although, decent trades here. Wow, Nectarie, look at that movement and that usage of these mangoes. Gets another shot out before losing that one, but now heavy diving coming in. Loses a monk to the scout cavalry. Light cav upgrade is in as well. Daniel is trying to end this thing and end Nectarie with a forward castle. So gets off just another shot before falling to the villagers of all things. It's such a bloody fight. Nectarie traded amazingly here. But it's still a losing battle, I feel. Forward castle will be attempted as well by comy, who's still harassing with the Genoese down here. Should be noted. He's now getting on the map as well. And Daniel has to pull back carefully. Not going to be able to drop the castle as far forward. Nectarie is still under heavy pressure. Struggling with these scorpions as well. It's a difficult game to play, especially against the Vietnamese, who might just start making rattan archers at this point, is what I would expect from the Vietnamese. And that would give these crossbows a lot of trouble. Look at how they're already struggling with the castle fire and the light cavalry doing so much damage. Oh, he's going to lose the entire army there, Nectarie. The light cavalry are all over him. And they're doing so much damage. Huni is having a great time with this. Oh, getting an amazing trade in here, and look at the villager numbers at this point. It's looking so difficult to come back from in Nectarie's spot. comy really trying hard to impact the game. Has enough stone for another castle and trying to bring it on Huni, on Daniel's next TC, excuse me, but he has enough of these TCs to fall back on, I feel. It's a really bad spot for our underdog team. Getting chased down by these light cavalry. Huni having a great old time here. Well, these castles will not be stopped. The rattan archers are exactly what you need against the Genoese. Wow, what an amazing matchup for the Vietnamese, actually. They're just good against these Italians and against the Malians. Army comes right now. What a slaughter down here. What an unfortunate engagement for comy. Well, Nectarie tries with the castle to secure these resources here. I'm not sure how well that is going to go. The light cavalry is coming in. Frantic house walls are coming up. Are they going to be enough? No, the very west is still exposed. The very west is still able to be reached by these light cavs. But, oh, the walls, it's just so close. It's just so close, but the castle apparently is going to go up after all. But at what cost, though? At what cost? Look at the base. Everybody is in here. It's the least exclusive club in all of Romania, this base. As everybody is just stomping through it right now. GG called by Nectarie. There's no more chance for holding this one up. Strong showing in the first game by our favored team. The one-seeded Daniel and Huni taking a convincing victory here. Good strategy. Nomad has always something to do with chance and a lot to do with planning, and their strategy worked out perfectly here. Particularly, I wasn't amazed by how comy played their spot, but it's hard to tell, right? I wonder at what point they knew exactly where everybody was and what they needed to do. It's difficult for sure. So I think certainly a deserved victory in game one for these two guys. And as we switch over to game two, it has to be noted that at this point it is Team Nectarie's choice as to which matchup they want to play next. They can either choose to have Nectarie play against Daniel or to have comy play against Huni. in a 1v1. And at this point, the choice is rather obvious, right? I mean, you would typically pick comy against Huni because you have the elo advantage there, and Daniel is the strongest individual player in this tournament, so you wouldn't really want to have to face him in the elimination game here already, if you can avoid it. So I would assume that for game 2, we're going to see Huni against comy. So there we go. Game 2, Huni and Daniel up 1-0 in the series, and with a chance to close it out right here, playing as the Khmer on enclosed. Of course, the map, there's 3 maps in this pool, and these 2 players settled for enclosed. We'll see. Khmer against Malians is the matchup there. Khmer is a civilization that tends to be very successful lately, in open land maps especially. This isn't as open, so not maybe a traditional Khmer map that I would have expected, but we'll see how Huni performs on this Civ. And it has to be mentioned that these 2 players, this is the newbie matchup, right? These 2 players are definitely mid-elo players, 13 to 15-ish, 100 elo. And in that region, I don't think meta in Civ matchups are as important. Like, matchups definitely do play a role, but it's like not all the counters and matchup specifics apply that would apply in pro level games, because simply these players don't do everything optimized to the maximum, right? That's no disrespect, obviously, but it's just in general, if you're anything below extreme top of the list pro play, some typical tier list or matchup details go out of the window. That's just to say that these civs would look a little bit different if played by the very best players. Though, as the Khmer here, I still think it's a pretty powerful pick. It's of course one of the most unconventional civilizations, because you can go for pretty fun stuff with the Khmer. You've got a lot less restrictions on your buildings, as you can see, and also the house jumping trick with the villages is quite nice if you're ever getting raided. And even the farms, I mean, that's a pretty good eco bonus to have. You're just getting some extra food by not being forced to ever drop off the food from the farms. That's quite the good eco bonus to have for sure as well. I would personally love to see a ballista elephant stack at some point, but I fear we might not actually end up getting to see that. Regardless, either way, a Khmer typically a fun safe and very flexible, right? You can go for the opening with archery range or with stable. You don't even need a barracks necessarily to start out with. So we'll see what direction Huni decides to take it. On the other side, for comy, to try and stay alive in this series with their partner Nectarie, we got the Malians. And they're also a civ that's quite popular these days. We also obviously just saw them during our Nomad game, and that time Nectarie had actually piloted them. Didn't end up managing to grab the win there. Maybe this time around the civ will bring some more fortune to Team Romania, as they're looking to equalize the series on enclosed. Malian's a civ that I personally like for its simplicity. I feel like the bonuses are quite clear, simple, and each of them is quite impactful. And yeah, I just like this better than civs like, for example, the Teutons, where they have a million bonuses, and most of them are small ones that you don't even really remember. Like, which 2 university tags do they get for free again? I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So what are the bonuses then? Well, for eco, they've got this amazing gold bonus where they drop off more gold, meaning that they not only collect gold faster, but also get more gold out of their gold piles. So that's a double whammy there. That's quite nice. Also, maybe for the eco, you could argue just the flat wood discount on all of your buildings. Quite nice. You can already see that affect the game in the early game here. The mill, the houses, everything like that has been cheaper for comy to pick up. So cool bonus. The infantry PS armor bonus is quite nice too, because obviously usually the best counter to infantry is archers in the early game especially, and so having that PS armor there is pretty cool. Also, I mean, if Khmer ever end up adding in some scorpions against the scorpions too, I think this PS armor actually does quite well. So we'll see, but obviously in most competitive pro level games we don't really see that much infantry. We'll see if comy ends up opting in that direction. You can see Malians as if they're lacking the final tech upgrades for all units in the blacksmith. And that's maybe a bit unfortunate. No halberdier either, but they have the gunpowder options, and they have that really cool Farimba Imperial Age unique tech, which gives absurd amounts of attack to the cavalry. So that might be an option in Imp as well. We'll see where it goes. Both players up at the exact same time here. Idle time extremely minimal. We like to see that. Both with the 20 pop up clicks, and comy actually walling in the berries preemptively. Quite interestingly. Now scouting forward too. This is really nice. That's what you oftentimes see in pro games, is have the opponent scout you when you're just about to get up to feudal age, because that's kind of the most interesting part of the game, where you want to know what does the opponent open with, where are their villagers, what does the map look like. Admittedly unenclosed, the maps don't tend to vary all that much, but still it's good to get that intel. And Huni as well sees the stable come down for the Malians, is well aware. The other side, I'm sure comy scouted the same thing happening. Oh, he actually didn't quite see it. He sees the berries though, it seems. So for Huni, or for comy, maybe seeing that the gold isn't currently being worked, would just assume that we see Khmer scouts, but I'm surprised they didn't actually stick around to see if Huni would go for the stable or the range. Looks like they're going to go back in here. But yeah, seems good. Yep, gets the information now. So that's valuable info to have. That lets you know, okay, I might want to queue up a spearman or two, and helps a lot protecting in early feudal age. Already with the spearman out though, so comy likely did suspect this. As an answer here, it seems Huni actually will pick up a tower on their berries, trying to, you know, keep that outside eco safe. It's a bit difficult on this map, right? Your middle or your home base is pretty safe, but on the outside where all the extra resources are, quite awkward to set up your eco. Oh, that could actually hit, can't it? Oh, it's open, isn't it? Is it? No, it's not open, but it should be able to hit through there. At least one of the scouts didn't end up looking like that was possible, however. And for Huni, I think this is a pretty decent setup. I mean, you can always hide in the tower or in the house if push comes to shove. So not a bad protection there, for sure. Comy wants to do some damage though, brings the spearman forward. Oh, this is looking like a bad trade. Only one poke ends up coming in for comy on the scouts. Numbers wise, it's looking pretty decent, and that's sometimes an issue there for the Khmer. If you get into a scout war, you're tempted not to make a barracks, but then when you don't make one, you don't have the spearman, you can't really trade well. Now takes the trade underneath their tower, but you see just the spearman and with an extra scout there, I believe, for comy makes it so it's extremely difficult to trade. For Huni has to back off there, and you can see still no barracks or anything. So can't respond with any spearmen of their own. That is definitely awkward. I mean, you could skip the spearman obviously and just go like an archery range, add in an archer or two, and that should take care of the spearman as well. But it's difficult to micro because the scouts can just snipe you if you don't have a spearman of your own. So these type of trades, not the best for Khmer, and comy did a decent job exploiting that. That being said though, only got one extra kill there, right? The KD is just 2-1, so it's not like there was a massive punish there. Idle time for both players still reasonable levels, so nobody has suffered greatly from this attack. Quite a lot of walling already coming out for comy, who's now adding the blacksmith. Of course needs a second building to be able to go up to the next age, unlike the Khmer, which can just go up just like that. Let's check out the resources collected actually. That is a good indicator because the villager numbers are the same, but for now, well, we have 150-ish resources extra collected for comy. Not bad, just I guess having less trouble with the eco and not forced to drop that tower, etc. That leads to some more resources on their side. However, again, that's just slight differences here that certainly aren't game deciding. And I mean, for Huni, they are the lower elo player here. And also they're already up 1-0 in the series, so there's definitely a lot less pressure on Huni to perform here, whereas comy needs this victory to stay alive in the tournament, and is also the higher elo player. At least, I'm not sure about the current elo at this moment in time, but the effective elo that was calculated for this tournament is definitely, I think, 100 elo higher on comy's side. So that being said, I'm expecting a lot here. Let's see, comy is up first on the way to Castle Age. Get some cavalry attacks in there. And it looks like we're going to see some Malian cavalry to start out with. Let's see, there's some extra berries on this map too, as we can see. So, sadly, no Franks or Portuguese to make use of that. A lot on goat here, definitely, so I'm expecting that Malian... I don't know, is it going to be a night opening? Are we just going to see camels? Who knows? Alright, Huni now also able to click up is 1.5 minutes afterwards on the way to Castle Age. Looking pretty okay there. Not too bad, and having stacked a lot of scouts, so if it comes to an upgrade situation where in early Castle Age a fight breaks out, Huni can definitely compete, especially if comy tries to go with monks or whatever, but no spearmen still, so that could potentially end up being a problem. Bloodlines now coming in too. There's definitely a lot of scouts. No upgrades yet from the blacksmith though. And comy is up to the next stage. Let's see how Huni will react. Are they still going to try to take a trade here? As that's a lot of scouts coming in, and 2 town centers are attempted to be dropped, but that's a lot of scouts on this eco. Oh lord, there's a lot of villagers right there. What can comy do here? What are they gonna try to do? They're trying to fight back, but a lot of villagers are taking damage. Ooh, it's not a good start. Huni is looking great in this early Castle Age. Look at the villager numbers. They've already killed 3 of them. Oh, what a disaster for comy. As the tournament life is at stake, this is a tough beat to the gut. Has a lot of villagers, and all the scouts end up dropping here. And they're gonna go into camels next, seeing the amount of scouts that Huni had committed into. We're gonna get camels as the response, which makes sense, but that's 5 villager kills as Huni themselves now reaches Castle Age, and comy now trying to again get out to drop that 30c. Will be able to make up those 5 villager numbers sooner rather than later, but god, that is pretty unfortunate timing there with the attack. Doesn't look like comy truly expected this. Didn't have time to wall in the villagers either, so that was a tough one. But interestingly, Huni's still without any blacksmith upgrades and no light cavalry upgrade coming in. Instead, just queuing up 1 stable knights. And comes out with the wellness tree now. This is going to be tough though against these camels, just fighting with a handful of, a handful of scouts and a knight. Not the best trade technically, especially with the blacksmith upgrades being lacking, but just the numbers are making up for the lack of those. So Huni is going to be able to clean this up, but also pretty good value. 2 villager kills there for comy. Not too bad, as the TC will go up, but that's only the second one. Comy already having 3 up and running, and with a couple of camels forward. So, well, for Huni, gotta be careful. Don't lose any more villagers, and these engagements aren't favorable to take right now with this cavalry, and there's so much food in the bank for Huni. I'm really wondering why we're not seeing any blacksmith upgrades coming. Probably because there's no blacksmith, right? But there's 700 wood. Oh, we're seeing the market now. I'm not a huge fan of this for Huni. I'm really not, because where's the blacksmith? Where's the upgrades? Are we just going to use monks? I mean, you can argue that you don't need cavalry upgrades if you're never going to use the cavalry to fight with against other units. If this is just raiding cavalry, then I guess lack of upgrades isn't the worst, but I mean, these couple of engagements might have gone even better with some proper upgrades in there. It's just what I'm saying. Now the market is going to go up, and look at the resources in the bank for Huni as some eco upgrades come in. Husbandry as well. What's going to be the play here? The market is up, so I wonder if they're looking to buy something, like buy another TC. Is that, yeah, that's what we're seeing right now. Another TC being purchased. That tower made it so that, you know, can't just drop 2 TCs right out of the gate. Need some extra stone there. Because you're not the Incans. Can't just drop a tower and a TC still. Okay, well, it's gonna be 2 extra TCs actually, it seems. So that's gonna be a total of 4. And of course, that's one way to make use of your food. You're not going for blacksmith upgrades. And Huni very much committing to the eco route. We can already see both the castle age eco upgrades there in the middle and lumber camp are in. Whereas Comy hasn't grabbed either of those. Goes for wheelbarrow now, which is really good. But of course, not as important for the Khmer, since that mainly is a big boost to the farmers, which for the Khmer are pretty efficient even without wheelbarrow in. So that's not the worst. Lacking that. Eco-wise, Huni's in a really nice spot. Military-wise, not as much, but tries for another little scout raid. But these scouts barely do any damage. I mean, look at these villagers. They're just getting tickled by this. So Comy won't have to worry about that. Neither side has picked up any relics yet, actually. But monks are out. And these scouts finally are being trapped. Didn't end up getting any more villager kills. But that's a 4 TC setup right now for Huni, with a lot of wood and a lot of farming eco. Let's see if Comy will punish this. Villager-wise, we are still pretty even. Comy is actually housed here, so they might be getting overtaken pretty soon here in terms of wills. 5th TC, oh god. Man, oh man, Huni, what are we doing? Are we just doing a farming simulator today? Just all eco. I mean, it's a pretty closed map, alright? But all the eco on the outside is raidable. And I wonder if the opponent were to go for a castle drop or for any big military push right now, could Huni counter that? Just all eco, look at this. I mean, 7 knights isn't bad, but they're not upgraded at all, and just 1 monk. So if a big army of camels ended up coming, this could be a big issue right now. I'm just saying. Comy sitting on his triple TC, stacking camels, doing exactly that. And now having grabbed some relics, but so has Huni actually. It's a 3rd stable in there. 40 on farms as well for Comy. Definitely not slacking in that department either. We'll lose that scout apparently. But yeah, I wonder how long Huni can get away with this and what the plan is going to be. Neither player really on stone yet, so it doesn't look like castles are on the menu. The chop through the middle is also still far from reality. For now, it's still relics that they're bothering with. Actually, the scout ended up escaping, and now we've got this wild goose chase around the map. Imp on the way for Comy. Huni can click up in just a second as well, though. So that's exactly what they're gonna do. Both players, again, really close in terms of up times. Very similar. Love to see it, although for Huni it seems taking quite some time until the imp comes through. Is it stuck behind a million villagers somewhere? Oh no, it's just here. Okay. It will come through, but actually loses almost a minute of uptime here. Well, maybe 30 to 40 seconds. By completing another villager first, which is a bit surprising when you have these resources laying around already. And so it's going to be almost a minute ahead for Comy to try and do something with an already bigger army, but 10 less villagers. So we'll see if that eco deficit is going to be a problem right now, though these camels are definitely scary. For feudal age, blacksmith upgrades, husbandry is now in as well. You can see they pick up a little bit in speed. Pikemen finally coming in for the Khmer, which is probably a good choice at this point. Barracks are being rushed up. I like this. It seems like Huni, with their really good eco, getting up the military buildings just in time, or are they? We'll see about that. The infantry upgrades aren't in yet, obviously, in the blacksmith. Just cavalry upgrades there. First couple of pikemen are coming out. Oh, excuse me. No, I looked on the wrong side. That was my bad. There's the infantry armor for Huni, and we're gonna get forging next. It's, of course, Comy that's grabbing the cavalry upgrades. That was my mistake. Okay, well, it looks like we're gonna get a big battle here. We got quite the military numbers already. Imp is in. And let's see, which upgrades are we gonna get? Heavy camel, iron casting coming in for Comy. Man, if it really looks like they're trying to get to a castle to potentially grab Farimba as well. Farimba camels could be terrifying, but then again, if Huni has enough pikemen, that shouldn't be an issue, or should it? I really don't know. I haven't really tried that matchup yet. Not sure if Khmer get halberdiers. Let's check it out real quick. Oh, halberdier. They do get halberdier. Okay. So that shouldn't be too big a problem as we see it now being researched. Okay. Well, good choices by Huni. Good choices in terms of military. Started producing it at exactly the right time. And gets the right upgrades too. Castle coming right now for both players, actually. It's interesting. What is Comy going to bring alongside the camels? Camels only sounds a bit problematic there. What are we gonna get? Nobody start moving out, so now Comy knows, okay, this army comp maybe a bit problematic. Yeah, there we can see you don't want to take those engagements for sure. The castle does a good job against the halberdiers, obviously. It looks like Huni doesn't care, dies right underneath the castle with these helps. Third armor upgrade isn't available to the Khmer, so the helps are pretty squishy, and you can see they are currently getting shredded, even without Farimba. That was a bloodbath there underneath the castle. Not the hugest fan, but I guess if you got this type of farming eco setup, then you can afford to lose some halberdiers like that. More barracks yet to come, and some attack upgrades on the way as well. Comy actually goes for just another castle here, interestingly. Okay. Now gets the infantry armor upgrades themselves, so Gebettos apparently. I'm not sure how well they do against pikemen, frankly. So I guess we'll just have to see. But I could see this working out. Logistics on the way too. Okay, well. There's the castle. And another castle coming out for Huni as well. These two guys taking their time, setting up opposite from each other. Of course, it's high stakes, a potential elimination game there for Comy. Needs to make sure this goes well. I'm not quite sure about the Hussar pickup there for Huni, but I guess they're really just trying to make use of their food and wood economy. But it's just against all these camels. That's probably not going to be the most useful in the big battle. Comy scouts the castle, knows about it now, sees the million halberdiers still, and traps coming out on both sides. Well, it looks like Comy has actually found quite nice spots for their castles just on the hills. So in terms of hill bonus, that might be really good. Gonna take not as much damage from these trebuchets. This is a bit of an awkward location to set up a trebuchet though. Can't lie. The halberdiers could just rush that one down potentially. But the Gebettos starting to come out now. Maybe they're able to defend. Well, not for now. That's the first trap going down. Lands 2 shots apparently on that trap though. Unbelievably. A lot of Gebettos down south though, so this engagement isn't going to be all that great for Huni. Oh, on both sides there's a fight going on. But, well, Huni taking a lot of damage on these halberdiers as well. And looks like the trap might be rushed down. The Gebettos, man, they're a problem at this point. What is Huni gonna do about those? Maybe that's what the Hussars are for in the end. But I think archers would do much better against those, or something from range. I mean, even ballista elephants or scorpions or whatever. Just, I think you need some range against the Gebettos. Look at the movement here. Oh, damn. Comy with the fancy. Oh, I like to see it. And that's outpost convention over there. I don't know. This is just buying time right now for Huni, I assume. Sending in these pikemen over and over. They're not really doing anything. A third castle, he just wants to slam the door shut. You're not getting through here. You shall not pass this little ring. Because you can't just wall off the map, because this terrain is not buildable. Not suitable for buildings. And even a home castle for comy actually, so it doesn't go for the forward one. Interesting choice as the hussars from Huni start coming over. And that's gonna be a terror, that's gonna be a pain, because you're always gonna have some units there at the back dealing with this. Huni with 135 villagers, an amazing eco, 50 wood, 67 farms. Just completely boomed up. But these Geppettos, man, they're just diving in on these trebuchets. They're one-shotting them one after the other. But is the castle gonna fall? It seems like it is. One more trebuchet shot would do it. It doesn't get off. Whoa! Last second snipe there with the Geppettos. That was so damn close. But the castle ends up surviving incredibly. Oh, and the halberdiers are going in for a slaughter here. Let's see, the camels of course are gold units, so this fight might be worth taking for Huni, but the trebuchets are surviving, and that's going to be an issue. What do you do against these trebs that are threatening this castle? We even have hand cannoneers right now at the back mixed in there for comy, trying to take care of the halberdiers. And at home, it looks like the hussars aren't really getting going. There's not a lot of raiding going on. Huni is yielding ground at home. Castle is apparently going to go down, and villagers are dropping as well. Comy has got a real strong push going right there. The trebuchets, that's the only thing Huni has against the enemy's trebs, but they're just so snipeable by these camels right now that's a huge problem. The castle has fallen, and the halberdiers, they're just running into this meat grinder of hand cannons and Geppettos. That's not the best fight there. Huni is still trying to get in with hussars themselves though to raid in the southern part. I just don't think that's enough hussars, and I think the camels are the perfect answer for that. So army-wise right now it's looking extremely good for comy, and Farimba is on the way too. He hadn't even had that before. Ooh, bad news potentially there for Huni. If that upgrade kicks in, that could make things even worse at this point. A lot of gold still in the banks for comy, contrasted there to Huni, who even with 120 villagers, the eco has suffered quite a bit here. You can see the resources aren't trickling in at the same speed anymore. 4 trebuchets up and firing, even partially from the hill. This castle is going to melt. Huni, what do you have left in the tank? Hussars, well, they weren't the answer. At least these raids haven't done a whole lot yet. It's of course always good to try and distract the opponent at home when they've got a big army going, but the distraction wasn't as impactful as they likely were hoping for. Well, this is just a massive army that Huni has to face right now, and with a million hand cannon. I mean, look at this. That's 35 hand cannoneers. Do you know how expensive these units are? Man. That's one expensive army comp, and the TC in the middle is going down. Million hussars here. Let's see how well they're gonna do against the hand cannons and the Geppetto. Let's check it out. A more beefy front line for sure, but they're also just getting one shot, and good kiting backwards for comy right now. Has to yield ground though, and so maybe the traps are gonna be taken out. But look at this, the hussars are almost all cleaned up already, and barely any hand cannons have been taken out. This is good trading though. The blast furnace pie halberdiers, they're doing some work against the hand cannons, but it's so tedious. It's so painful. And they're still, out of those 35, 22 ended up surviving, and all the army is gone for Huni. I don't think this was enough to stop the push here, really. Only 1 or 2 traps have gone down either. And meanwhile, no counter raiding, while the own economy for Huni is completely open at this point. Entirely unprotected here in the south, in the original center of the base. Another swarm of pikes and hussars charging in, but it's not enough. Right now the numbers aren't good enough anymore. Finally we see some chimera scorpions, but are those going to be good enough? We'll see. We'll see. At least it's a unit switch. I appreciate that. Cavalry being taken out. Maybe that changes things a bit. These scorpions definitely are strong, but look how they're getting sniped. Ooh, 2 shots, 3 shots. These trebuchets, they're just killing all the scorpions. Oh no, well, it looks like the Scorpions, they did well against the infantry, but the trebuchets are just the ultimate final boss here for any siege that isn't Mongols, I guess. Wow, a lot of Scorps end up dying here, and these are expensive units, for sure. Well, the raids here on the side, finally doing some work, but already down to 100 villagers themselves here is Huni. So that could be a problem. Well, trebuchets are getting lower, but they are pretty well armored against Scorpions, so they're not gonna go down to Scorpions alone, and the Scorpions are the only thing that's left standing here. So these traps are gonna survive, and so are the hand cannons. Huni ends up calling it here as Comy tramples over their base. What a play! Marimba Malians, million camels, and hand cannons really just buys victory here. That's the gold bonus, everybody. 5,000 gold still in the bank. Wow. Controls the map nicely and had the exact right army composition that Huni wasn't able to find an answer for in the end. So the series is now tied at 1-1 going into the last game, which of course is going to be the 1v1 between the two beast players. Now at this point, I have to add in a short note. Game 3 between Nectarie and Daniel will be next. This is the deciding final game of this semifinals best of 3 series. The winners team will move on to the finals. However, when I first casted this series, I was under the impression that this next game had actually been game 2. So during the cast, I will act as though we're watching game 2 because that's what I believe we're watching. Nectarie against Daniel, I thought was game 2 when I was casting it. In reality, though, this is game 3, and the series is currently at 1-1, as we just saw. So just there's no confusion. Wanted to put this disclaimer in there. This is going to be the matchup, so let's roll with it, right? It's a best of 3. It's match point for Daniel. Yes, the strong favorite can close out this semifinal and move to the final, where they'll have a chance to play for 100 euros between the two of them. And that is some nice money there. We're playing some Age of Empires 2. So it's high stakes already. Let's check out the civs that these two guys are playing. As, whoops, there we go. Nectarie needs to absolutely pull off a clinic to save the team and stay alive in the tournament. Portuguese on Arabia. Now, to explain, there's 3 maps actually that could have been played here, and the players blindly pick or ban a map. So it's a bit of a convoluted system, but in the end it seems these two guys have settled on Arabia, which is going to be played right here. The Portuguese as a civilization there, pretty decent for sure. I don't think people typically consider it S tier on Arabia, but it's still decently strong civilization to have. The strength of the civilization definitely lie in the late game, in the perfect blacksmith and gunpowder, so they have all the options in the game kind of to go into. They don't have Hussar or Paladin, but still pretty strong cavalry too. So they have got really good options to tech into, and to facilitate that, they have a gold discount on all of their units that they could make. So monks, archers, knights, organ guns, whatever you want to make, Portuguese get it for cheaper if it costs gold. So they're a good bonus to have there. One of the stronger discount bonuses for my money. Also a small berry gathering bonus where you get extra wood in there. Decent, but not a game changer, I don't think. Still helps getting to that late game spot where you ideally, I think, flourish in all of the options that you have, especially with that gunpowder stuff. I mean, pretty strong, and with Arquebus unique tech as well, can get a lot of damage out there, which especially since gunpowder is pretty expensive on gold normally, having that with the Portuguese discount synergizes quite nicely, I think. For Daniel, who, again, in this 1v1 should be heavily favored as the clear pro player here that, yeah, should just be, what, 500 elo above Nectarie, has a prime opportunity to close out this semifinals with a S-tier civilization in many people's eyes on Arabia. It is the Vietnamese, as if that, as opposed to the Portuguese, which are extremely flexible, is oftentimes pigeonholed into being an archer civilization. But that is kind of deceiving, right? I mean, they've got just fine knights as well. You can go elephants with the Vietnamese. That isn't even crazy. And since the archers are so weird and they've got Imperial Skirmisher upgrade as well, you're in a really good archer civ, but also really good against archer civilizations. And you have an amazing eco to back all of that up, mainly stemming from that eco upgrade discount and faster researching speed. That is pretty strong eco bonus to have. We'll see how Daniel decides to play it here. I expect just regular, as you see both players go up with 18 and 19 villagers respectively. I just expect regular archery range openings from both players. We haven't seen either one go for French Drush here. On no militia play at all. Daniel does a good job. You'll always see this pro players do usually around the time you get to feudal age. See them scout forward to kind of get a feel of what the opponent might be doing. Are they going for a range? Are they going stables? Are they fast castling? I mean, who knows at this day, right? Barracks comes up only now for Nectarie. And Daniel will know, okay, probably I'm a bit faster up to the next age. Interestingly though, he's not that much faster, because Nectarie had actually skipped Loom for now. I wonder if they're gonna be researching it. Yep, they're gonna grab it just as feudal age starts. So that's what they're gonna go for. 2 villagers. Gonna drop a stable actually, so it's not actually an archery range opening. Warning themselves in, but ooh, this could be broken into. They did not put a lot of HP on these walls. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Repairs? Oh boy. What's going on here? Okay, Nectarie. Now we're on top of it. Okay. Decent work there. Stable is going to go up, and we have a scout opening there for the Portuguese, which is interesting because obviously you don't get a discount on the scouts and nothing special about the Portuguese scouts overall. But still, you don't want to always be predictable, and I guess you might also argue that just going archers against archers with the Vietnamese is a bit pointless because they have the extra HP on their archery range units. So that's not really something you would like to go into. But on the other side, Daniel, he was sneaky about it. He too opened with the stables actually. No archery range play. Nectarie has actually scouted this, so they are much aware what's going on there. Both players gonna start with spears and scouts as a result. And we'll see if any villager picks will end up coming in. Neither party is fully walled yet, although Nectarie is definitely working towards that. Scouts very difficult to get a hold of course. And eco upgrade wise, also both players with the exact same investments until this point. So really this game mirroring each other quite well, although Nectarie has invested more into getting these walls up already. And I wonder what the plan is. Ooh, as we see, Daniel will break in here, and this villager is likely going to die. Look at the HP, already quite low from the get-go, and it's going to be pounced on. And that's the first death of this game. The villager gets sniped there from Nectarie. Not the best start, to be sure. And this villager up north is endangered as well. Well, this guy's probably dead, isn't he? Oh, Nectarie realizes late. Tried to get out of harm's way, but wasn't able to get out. And that's going to be the second villager dying already without getting any damage back. It's not looking too great. A player like Daniel is not often going to give up such an advantage. With his scouts, absolute terror right now being rained on Nectarie's base. As Daniel pulls back, he's probably more than happy with the damage that he's already been able to do, but he's gonna come back to look for more. The chance presents itself. Neither party with a second building yet. I'm still wondering, yeah, it seems And he's now going out on gold, and obviously you need gold to get to Castle Age. I don't think either party is gonna add a whole lot of military here in Feudal Age still, because Nectarie is probably just walled up by the point that Daniel could come back. So I don't think it would be worthwhile for Daniel to invest into towers or archers to try and break in here. I think just leaving it be with that should be fine. Wouldn't recommend adding much more military on his side. And for Nectarie, I mean, they're behind right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just felt like, hey, actually, I can't really commit that hard. But oftentimes when you're behind, you also can't afford to just boom up, right? Because the opponent is likely to do that, and when they do that, well, you start behind, you're going to end up behind, and that's not going to be the best situations. Now we saw a bit of an awkward fight taken by Daniel. He didn't have the hill position, but now gets a really good maneuver around. The fight is definitely close. And the spears from Nectarie forcing Daniel to retreat further and bring his own spears along. He's going to be just fine. Now the question is, are we going to see more here? It doesn't actually look like it. It seems both players are pretty content just going up to the next stage. Both having added their next buildings, blacksmith on both sides. And the scouts actually dive in here rather aggressively. Nectarie feeling confident with their own spearmen, but needs to be careful. The spearman is now more for Daniel, so it's a bit difficult. And these scouts, I don't think they're gonna get out of this base alive again, so they better do a lot of damage. Or, well, not a lot, but some damage, you know. We'll see what Nectarie is able to do with them. Takes the engagement here. A lot of low HP ones already on Daniel's side, but he's able to pull the villagers. And Nectarie finds a good snipe on the way out of there, but has to be careful with all of these spearmen now coming over. It's a bit tricky. At least he's taken out all of these scouts, but the Vietnamese, they likely won't mind. Both players pretty much going up to the Castle Age at the exact same time here. Just separated by less than 10 seconds in-game time. Okay, Nectarie definitely traded extremely well with their army. Gonna get that villager in trouble. But just killing the Vietnamese scouts isn't a massive success, because they were going to switch away from the scouts regardless. I don't think they're going to be playing scouts long term here. I could be wrong. Daniel's actually adding in some more. Seems like he's thinking about going for light cav upgrade after all. Not sure I like that, having lost so many scouts already. Why not ditch them and go into something else entirely? Depending on what you expect your opponent to make in Castle Age. Second stable coming up for Nectarie, so for them I expect it to be a knight opening in Castle Age. Let's see what Daniel's gonna do against that. Actually, he's going for bloodlines and fletching. That's a very interesting composition. Yep, that's gonna be cav archers for Daniel. Okay, double archery ranges are on the way. And wow, traps the scout here as well, completely unnecessarily adding salt to the wounds. Ouch, that's all the army gone for Nectarie, who's now arrived in Castle Age with 35 villagers and double stable. Queues up some knights, and we'll try to go from there. On the other side, Daniel opening straight cavalry archers. I have seen that in the Hera Champions Invitational tournament as well. Sometimes people just open cav archers out of the gate in Castle Age with the Vietnamese, because that extra HP is pretty terrifying. Going for a very early second town center. We'll have to make sure not to get caught there like the preemptive walls, just to make sure the villagers won't be in trouble. Scouts from Daniel won't find any damage there. But it is an interesting choice here to go for knights. I don't think, well, I didn't think Nectarie was gonna go make a whole lot of them. I think that first TC will be spotted, but of course it's gonna go up regardless. Daniel takes that as a signal to add his own TC back at home. Nectarie comes out with the knights here. I'm not sure I like this engagement. Might have preferred him actually going straight forward. But then again, what kind of damage could be found there is really unclear, since Daniel at this point also fully walled. Also has some monks out on the map already, working on picking up these relics presumably. very little scouting actually done by Nectarie. He doesn't really know where all the relics are. Now sees these cavalry archers, and Daniel has found a few more relics actually with these cavalry archers. Still pressuring with the scouts on offense, but kites backwards. Masses more and more cav archers at home, and with the monk as well. Difficult engagement to take. Nectarie is still charging in head on though. Takes out the monk, loses the knight though. Well, that's not the greatest trade, I don't think. But he's gonna take out the knight in the end. Gonna have to go home. Chain barding coming in. A lot of upgrades already on these horses, contrasted with Daniel, who has, well, pretty low amount of upgrading already done. We saw Bloodline, of course, coming in earlier. And Fletching, well, that's it. That's all that these cav archers kind of have right now. Now it's Nectarie's turn to threaten with a monk, but quick reaction by Daniel to pull back there. Should be fine. Both players still sitting on their 2 town centers. Villager numbers exactly even at this point. And Siege Workshop now coming out for Nectarie. Probably gonna add in some Scorpions to help combat the cavalry archers. And this right now is a very gold heavy army composition. Siege, monks and knights, really gold heavy. Means a lot of savings for the Portuguese, but also a lot of gold spent on this. Interestingly, not picking up any stone just yet. I would expect them to maybe look for some castles here for some security for their eco. It's difficult. Oftentimes you're happy just playing for the long game as the Portuguese, and so you see Portuguese players put up a castle or two to gain some more space, protect some eco, acquire some additional gold or stone resources. But maybe this matchup is a difficult one. You don't actually want to go just straight to late game, because the Vietnamese certainly are scary later on as well. Cavalry archers again charging in, but the monks cannot be taken out, and the first Scorpions also coming out as well. Daniel's done a good job keeping around these scouts as he goes forward again. Gets one of the cavalry archers converted, but the scouts are doing such an amazing job. Daniel's getting a lot of value out of those. Not able to take out a monk in the end, or the Scorpion, but the knight is going to try his luck next. He might just get that Scorpion to go down. Yes, that is Scorpion killed. Ooh! Wow. Was that a deletion? I'm not sure. Still, the monk ends up surviving, so the trade isn't horrible, but conversion on the back end of the trade. Not that fortunate for Nectarie, and the cavalry archer numbers are getting bigger and bigger for Daniel. It's scary if I'm Nectarie, man. I'm not sure I'm loving this. I'm killing a few monks here and there, a few light calves, yeah, but the cav archer ball it's getting pretty numerous. 30C attempted right here. Interesting spot as the cav archers come forward once more. Firing from atop the hill. Scorpion's having a tough time retaliating. Third Scorpion out at this point. Villager numbers now 5 in favor of Daniel, who has a lot less idle TC time. Well, it's not a ton, but at this level it certainly makes a difference. Still somehow has this one scout back here. Nectarie doesn't see it, okay, that's why. So that could be annoying for the monks. Goes forward again, tries to harass the villagers off of this town center. No ballistics yet for the cav archers, which he's actually going to go up to imp, it seems. And Daniel is. This is crazy. 70 villager imp? Okay. Not what I would have expected, because he can't afford a forward castle. And I don't think he's going to be able to afford heavy cav archer and all the upgrades there. So I wonder what the idea is behind going up to imp right now. Well, he's going to try regardless. Let's check real quick. Are there gunpowder options? There's bombard cannons. Okay, you can definitely push with bombard cannons. That would be difficult for Nectarie without imp. Playing against a lot of cav archers and BBC and imp sounds difficult. Nectarie now going forward as Daniel yields the map. Just wants to buy time to get up to the next age. Nectarie is forward, but can any damage be found? I'm not sure. The knights flashing against the house wall, and Scorpions coming in from the back, so the cav archers will be kept at bay. Not sure Nectarie realizes the opponent is actually going up to Imp and will arrive there with more villagers than Nectarie themselves, so... you know, it's not a great spot, I don't think. Finally Nectarie on stone as well though, but Daniel will have the stone for the castle quite a bit faster actually. That Mangonel's caught out of position, kind of. The Scorpions aren't nearby to help with these Cav Archers. They're diving in now, and it's a bit scary for Daniel to do this before getting up to Imp. He doesn't want to lose these numbers, but the conversions are coming in. At least one of them is given over. You don't want to lose the Cav Archers right before Imp, and Daniel did a good job not losing any there. Looked a bit scary, but is able to just heal them up now. And Nectarie, what are you gonna do from here? You just seen the opponent hit Imp. And that has gotta feel scary. Chemistry and Bracer on the way. These Cav Archers, they are gonna be big. Scorlead is there, but not humongous. So maybe Nectarie feels like there's still an angle here. I mean, there certainly is. Cav Archers, a lot of numbers right now though, and look how they are spread out. They're not as vulnerable anymore, as Bracer is in the range is also pretty good. The monks are stepping a bit too far up here, I think, and they're gonna get taken out. It's a big engagement here that could potentially decide the game, as these knights are trying to get damage done, but this is the worst timing to fight, I believe, as the upgrades are already in. For Daniel, he's shredding everything here. I'm not sure how much he's winning or losing. Oh, all the Scorpions are squashed by this one Mangonel shot. That's a big one for sure. But look at these Cav Archers. Nectarie has to call it. And Daniel is able, with a good performance in these first two games, to heave his team into the finals here. Nectarie took the engagement right when Bracer had already come in with a lot of cavalry archers there. Dies in with the knights. I'm not sure why he chose exactly this timing. He had the resources to click up to Imp themselves. I actually had already clicked up to Imp apparently, so still a lot of resources in the bank here. I think could have played it a bit cooler and tried one final push when they themselves were an Imp. Maybe with a cheeky cavalry upgrade, or I'm not sure if they're getting heavy Scorpion, but maybe that could have been an option. I just don't personally love the timing of this fight. But it is what it is. Daniel was always going to be the heavy favorite in this one, and he's able to close the series out with that. So that's the series. 2-1 for Daniel and Huni. Well, they were the favorites, and they played really well. But I'm glad we got it extended to all the 3 games here. Again, sorry for the confusion in the last game. Again, just to be clear, I casted this last game while I was under the impression that it was only game 2. However, it was already the last game in the series. It was already game 3. I hadn't known about the game between Comy and Huni while I was casting Nectarie against Daniel. So apologies for that. There were some issues there with the replay files, but we got it all figured out in the end. So that's it. It's a 2-1, Huni and Daniel. Congratulations, they're moving on to the finals, and they'll be able to play there against whoever makes it there for 100 euros between the two. So the winning team will get that prize money. Second place gets nothing here. High stakes for sure. And they're likely going to be the favorites in the finals as well, because I mean, Daniel just really high elo player, and Huni managed to hold their own as well. Especially in the Nomad game, that strategy was really nice. It seems it worked pretty flawlessly. On the other side, Comy and Nectarie, Team Romania here. Thanks for participating as well. It didn't end up working out in the end, which of course is always sad, but they had a good showing too. It wasn't just quite enough, but I also, of course, faced a really strong opponent here, so it's no shame. Regardless, thanks to everybody, of course, for participating and for watching. If you want more information, the link to the tournament Discord server will be in the video description. And you can also check out the playlist for the tournament on my YouTube channel for all the other games if you're interested. That's going to be it, though, for today. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you guys for the next games.